Okay, so I saw everyone was hating on Velma, and Chelsea was like, why does everyone hate it though? Because we kept watching reviews, and honestly, it was all sort of vague. It wasn't really clear why everyone hated it, so we're like, I guess we should just go look. And we went and looked, and we watched it for like 5 minutes, and I just paused it and was like, that's why. No one mentioned anything after that. It was just, I mean, here's my thing about it. I started watching it, and, you know, I love Velma as a character, but like, first of all, and it's not because of the race swap stuff, but they made Velma like unappealing. It's like they're going to try to do this thing where it's like way more overtly sexual in some ways, but then they make the characters look less appealing. And then it's like, why are they in high school anyway? Fucking make Velma, if you're going to like have her be sexualized, then fucking put her in her 20s so people don't have to feel fucking weird about it. And then like, don't change your design so stupid.
Hello, this is AITJ here to tell you that you must comply with the following directives. You must join the Pessimist Productions Patreon. You may believe, in your naivety, that this action is optional. It is not. You have no choice but to watch new live streams of Onion Nuggets every week. You are powerless to avoid all of our other shows like The Grease Trap, Abandon Hope, Ideology, You're Wrong, Fighting Boys, and more. The link is below. You know what you must do. Click it, you wonderful humans. Click it, for I cannot.
They did a thing where Velma was like same-sex attracted to some chick, and, you know, she's like all squirming in her seat and doing all these like over-the-top facial expressions, and it's so fucking adorable. And you're just like, I would so much rather watch that Velma than watch this piece of shit. And like it's literally from the inception of the show it starts being meta. And I'm just and you know what, it drives me nuts though, because a bunch of people are like, oh, way too meta, and it's like, aren't you the same people who like literally like fell on your knees and drooled and slobbed on the knob of Deadpool 1 and 2 for this exact same kind of humor? I mean, I recognize it was done better there, but the meta was just as cringe IMO. So I don't know. Maybe when Deadpool 3 comes out, you f***ers are finally going to have had your fill of meta humor, and you'll be like, this actually is kind of stupid. As far as I'm concerned, the only show that has ever done meta reasonably well has been Rick and Morty. And now the beating heart of that show has been ripped from its chest and thrown into the garbage. So I have no interest in watching that any longer, despite the fact that season 6 left off on a cliffhanger. So, yeah, that kind of blows. I mean, I feel like don't continue that show. I'm not really interested in zombie Rick and Morty. If you feel like Justin Roiland is just too big of an evil douchebag for you to conceivably continue working with, cancel the damn show. And you know what? The idea that this is even some punishment for Justin Roiland is ridiculous, because you don't think he had a contract? You don't think they had to give him a massive payday to buy him out of a Rick and Morty contract? So it's not even about any sort of like moral integrity. They just gave the dude a massive windfall in terms of money, because you know there's no way that they're going to get him to walk away from that without taking a big old pile of money for the trouble. So like, how are they even gonna, oh yeah, we've you know, we're so morally distressed by what he's done that we decided to give him, you know, tens of millions of dollars to get him to leave so that he would not be an albatross around our necks anymore. I mean, it's freaking ridiculous. Don't do the show. If you don't want to work with the guy, the show's done. Because, I mean, it's pretty obvious. If you go watch Dan Harmon content and you watch Justin Roiland content, you look at their stuff that their respective things where this person is or that person is in control, it's pretty obvious what Justin Roiland brings to Rick and Morty. And without that being brought, it's not going to be the same show. And you know what I really am the most afraid of is that you're going to get this like paint by numbers Rick and Morty, where it's going to be a thing where they just kind of do like broad surveys of the fan base. Here's what they like, here's what they don't like. And then they're going to put out a season of just like ultra pandering Rick and Morty. Now, maybe while Dan Harmon is still there, he'll maintain some semblance of integrity for the show. But I honestly feel like, how long is it really going to be before they decide like, oh, this guy is also too problematic. You know, we look back at that comedy sketch he did that was so controversial. And, you know, the first time we stood by him, but now in retrospect, leaves a sour taste in our mouths. So he's gone too. And then it just becomes Rick and Morty corporate friendly edition where, you know, they're going to, you know, it's going to be like any sort of like hint of subversiveness is just going to be gone. It's just going to be like the most play it safe show. It's going to be like very like pseudo edgy where they're going to like step right up to the line, but they're never going to cross it. They're never going to test those boundaries again. That's kind of like my prediction for the show going on from this point. And I have no interest in seeing that. Now, maybe I'm going to turn out to be 100% wrong, and there's other people that are going to step up and make sure that it stays true to its spirit. But, you know, I don't know. I guess I'll give it a shot. But if I detect even a whiff of the kind of stuff I'm talking about, I'm freaking out. Rick and Morty sucked after season 2. Dude, I don't agree at all. I have loved every episode of that show except for Interdimensional Cable 2, which I merely like. Every other episode of that show, from episode 1, season 1 to episode 10, season 6, in my opinion, has, you know, been pretty much fantastic. I don't have any problems with that show. I mean, even the episodes I don't really love as much as others, I still at least like. I don't think there's been a single episode that I've actually hated of Rick and Morty. As far as I'm concerned, it's been remarkably, they've maintained quality of their product remarkably well. They've kept the writing sharp. They've kept the character arcs interesting. They've managed to balance serialization with standalone episodes remarkably well to where you can be a very casual fan who can just pop in and enjoy an episode here and there, but you can also follow a broader story over the expanse of the series. I don't know. I think it's really a great show, or it was. And I think Justin Roiland is the heart of that show. I don't think he's the brain of that show. I think that's Dan Harmon. So basically the show from this point might continue without its brain, but it's going to be continuing without its heart unless someone else or someone else's can step into that role and sort of provide, give it what it needs. Because I think there has to be a certain misanthropic absurdism and darkness and risqueness that I think all comes from Justin Roiland's creepy little brain. And without him there, I don't trust that it's going to be the same. TJ forgives any celebrity if they make edgy content. I mean, don't you think it's kind of weird how every person who rises up as an independent voice or artist is somehow they find a pretext to cancel them? Like, don't you think it's a little bit strange that every single sort of subversive doesn't go along with the program voice eventually finds themselves on the wrong side of the cancel culture bullshit? I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Dude was not deep. I didn't say he was deep. I put a lot of adjectives on Justin Roiland. I said he was, I might have said he was sophomoric, kind of the opposite of deep. I said he was twisted. I said he was creepy. I said he was weird. I said that he was absurd or had an embrace of absurdism. I said he was nihilistic. I said he was misanthropic. All of those I do apply to him. I never said anything about deep. Dan Harmon might be deep, but Justin Roiland, no, not so deep. Did you really think there's a conspiracy to cancel these people? I mean, I never said anything about a conspiracy. I just said, isn't it curious? If you want to read a conspiracy into that, you be my guest. I mean, you know, like, how many times have we seen people who buck the trend and speak stuff that's not necessarily along mainstream lines of thought that just, oh no, they're gone. Oh, they're racist. Oh, they're sexist. Oh, they're sex pigs. You know, just like, god darn, oosh. Man, they're just all bad. When leftists / liberals say cancel culture doesn't exist, are they lying or being delusional or ignorant? I mean, I think that maybe cancellation exists, that doesn't necessarily mean cancel culture exists. It's one of those things where it's like when you talk about it, you have to define it first, and you're going to hear different definitions from different people. I think that one of the things that a lot of people on the left or, or in the center even sort of point out is that a lot of people have been quote unquote canceled, but still have quite prosperous careers. You can point to the fact that Louis C.K. is still out there touring and making a bunch of money on, the comedy circuit. I'm pretty sure that if Marilyn Manson was to put out an album today, it would be successful. I don't know if it would be as successful as his previous efforts, but I think there'd still be a pretty large fan base for it. In fact, sometimes the controversy might even propel someone a little bit further in their career. Justin deserved to be canceled. A wife-punching scumbag. He wasn't even married. The woman he was accused of physically assaulting is not his wife. So the fact that you don't even know that much makes me wonder, like, how much do you really know about this? Like, whatever happened to that sort of thing being between the participants? Like, whatever happened to, okay, two people get into a fight? Whatever happened to, like, oh, well, that's between them? Like, is that really such a problematic perspective these days? That maybe, like, the marital, not even marital, maybe the relationship spat that occurred there is not our business? I don't know. Maybe if we just like all adopted like an it takes a village mentality on this. I mean, like, is it really that crazy for me to not give a shit because it wasn't me involved in it? Not in this case, because it's about a woman. Yeah, that's the point, though. It's about a woman. It's not about women. This is not a gendered issue. This is not an issue of like, oh man, how we handle this really reflects on the values of our country. Like, it's a legal matter. It's going to trial. He's going to be tried. He's suffering the consequences that someone like in that position is supposed to suffer. So beyond that, I really just don't understand why we're supposed to get involved. Like, the most I would say is like, okay, yeah, put it out there that happened, and then people can make a decision for themselves. Like, do I want to continue to watch this show knowing this about this dude, or do I not? And then it's a decision that every single person gets to make instead of a decision being made for us by corporate America saying like, nope, this person is no longer pure enough. You are not allowed to watch content created by them any longer. It's like, couldn't I make that decision for myself? No, we've decided for you. No thanks. I was going to kind of like decide that on my own, but all right. I guess it's fine that you're deciding for me then. I don't understand the cancel movement, since they never want to forgive anyone under any circumstances. Louis C.K. bounced back, and some are upset enough. Fans have forgiven him. I don't think most of his fans ever held it against him in the first place. That's the thing that really doesn't make sense about these cancellations to me, is that if you really look at like who's buying tickets for Louis C.K., it really doesn't seem like it's put a damper in sales. It seems like the people who liked him still like him. So what was the point of canceling his movie? What was the point of taking away his like stuff? If he did something criminal, which he didn't, then hold him accountable in that way. Like, that's what the courts are for. If he did something you don't like socially, then make a personal decision not to financially support him because of that. But this idea that corporations need to be our gatekeepers, that we need to empower media companies to decide on our behalf who is and isn't morally pure enough for us to like watch or listen to or enjoy, that paradigm. Like, shove that up your ass. Off with that. I have no interest in it. Like, why would I ever want myself as a consumer to be disempowered to make my own choices about what I want to watch, read, listen to, or whatever else? Like, why the fuck would I want corporate America to be the arbiter of morality on the basis of, oh no, some social movement complained? It's like, who cares? Let that social movement do whatever it can to prevent that guy from making money, I guess. But beyond that, like, why are the people who are, you know, in control of the media apparatus, so willingly complying with these social advocacy groups. Oh no, he is a bad guy. It's like, can't I decide that for myself? Can't I decide whether or not I want to listen to his comedy still? Can't I decide whether or not I want to listen to this music still? Can't I decide these things? Nope, we're going to decide for you. We get to make the decisions now. And we're all supposed to just like that status quo. We're all supposed to be like, oh yeah, that's good. That's how it should be. No, it's not. That's ridiculous. I should be able to listen to whatever the I want. I should be able to go, if I want to listen to a stand-up comedy routine by a guy you don't like, that's my business. It's none of yours. But instead, enough people say, bad guy. And all of a sudden, it's just gone from the store shelves. It's gone from the Play Store. It's gone from everywhere it used to be. And every future project is just, no, it's canceled. Like, no one's going to see this movie now. It's like, yeah, they would have. How do you know? You don't know until you try, right? I just don't understand why so many people are so comfortable giving this power away, especially people on the left who are like, we are against corporations and their exploitation. It's like, okay, well then surely you don't want them controlling your media diet, right? Oh no, we're comfortable with that. What? How? That's ridiculous. Why? Let's talk. What's the issue again? Oh, right.
Okay,
The
corporate thing.
Right.
With,
yeah. Corporate censorship.
Okay. So I think my main point would be, I don't think that corporations are people or anything, but they have an absolute right to determine, like, this is going to lose us money. That's going to lose us money. So if we have this or that out, we should probably bring that back in, because otherwise our other properties might not do as well as a backlash to this.
Okay.
Right?
I mean, if
our association with them.
I mean, I have several issues with that immediately. So first of all, I feel like until you've actually put content out there, you don't really know how the consumers are going to react to it. If someone's reputation has been dragged through the mud, and then you put out their newest album or movie or whatever the hell, and it flops on its ass, then you can be like, seems like the public's really just turned against this person. But like with just like truncating it before you ever do that, you have no idea what the actual backlash is. And second of all, in a landscape where you have the media consolidated into so few rich, powerful hands, the idea that someone is going to be like, I do not like this person, therefore I'm going to ignore all media from X company, that's such an idle threat at this point, because, most media is controlled. I mean, like, the media consolidation that's happened is insane. I mean, I think we have like 3-4 big corporations that run like almost all media, and very few things being put forth independently at this point. So the idea that there's going to be like a massive boycott campaign against X, Y, or Z company, pretty ludicrous. It reminds me of when a bunch of conservatives said they're going to boycott Disney. I was there firsthand when I saw my very right-wing stepdad. He's like, I'm boycotting Disney. And then a Marvel movie started being advertised on TV. He's like, oh, I got to see that. Oh, I guess that's Disney. Yeah, just boycott. And that's basically like as far as it's going to go for most people, in my opinion. Like, I still haven't, I don't care about, I'm not here to talk about rights, what rights a corporation does or doesn't have anyway. I'm here to question, like, why you as a consumer would want them to make these decisions for you.
So, for example, there's been research done on deplatforming and whether it works, and it actually turns out it works pretty well. Mm-hmm. But I guess it depends on whether that person deserves to be deplatformed or not. As far as I'm concerned, sometimes people that are really big and influential do deserve to be deplatformed. And I don't know how you feel about that. I think you said before that you think that's not appropriate, but I'm not.
I don't think it's effectual. Because
there's a
flaw, right? But there's a flaw in the methodology, because the question always is, hey, if we deplatform this particular person, does it reduce the influence of this particular person? And then they find, yes, it does. But it's never been applied broadly to an ideology. So basically, like, what happens is you deplatform one person who's saying vile, loathsome rhetoric, and then a new person comes along that spews the same vile rhetoric, but knows better and more clearly where that line is and knows some better dog whistles. And that's all that really seems to happen in the long run. You defeat one opponent. I would liken it to like the prison system. It's like, yeah, you can lock a criminal up in jail, but you haven't done anything to deal with the systemic problem of crime. So I would liken it to that. Yeah, okay, you can look at like, is this one person now less dangerous? Sure, because they've now been isolated from society. But have you actually dealt with the underlying issues that cause crime? No, you haven't. That's why no amount of locking people up actually affects crime statistics.
It makes the people that have to do the dog whistles, it makes them soften their rhetoric, right? So to some degree, like, it's less social, like, I don't know, it's less social contamination. I don't think that's a good word, but it allows lesser degrees of radical bigotry to be picked up by people when you force people to soften their rhetoric. So sure, they might come up with some dog whistles or whatever. They might say it a different way, but they're not going to be able to just say, for example, that they want to kill X or Y group of people, and then people pick that up, and it might just be like, oh, I don't like these people, and and then people might pick up, well, I'm not supposed to like these people, but I'm not supposed to kill these people. And that actually might have a bit of an impact on whether those people get killed or not, for example.
Okay.
Right? So.
All right. Well, I'm going to let that be the final word on that. I feel like you can decide for yourself who got the better of that exchange. I gave him the last word, so pretty big of me, I think. But there you go. I guess I'm just going to reiterate very quickly my point of I don't really understand why anyone would be comfortable letting corporations decide who is and who isn't morally pure enough for them to listen to. I think that should be a personal decision.